Here are some of the best destinations in the world to score waves year round. While Indonesia's main season is generally between April and October, there are plenty of waves in the off-season. If you've been to Bali or Indo outside of this main season, you'll know firsthand that it can still get pretty good. While generally speaking, you don't get those huge long period Indian Ocean ground swells that are groomed by the trade winds, you do get really fun waves. For the most part, it's still offshore a lot in the mornings and can glass off in the evenings. Surf onshore in the afternoon as well when it's a bit less crowded, when it's really hot. Also, because it's positioned in the heart of the Indonesian archipelago, Bali benefits from two distinct seasons. So during the dry season, from April to October, the west coast lights up with waves like Uluwatu, Padang Padang and Canggu getting their best waves. This is driven by solid Indian Ocean swells and offshore easterlies. In the wet season, November to March, attention generally shifts to the east coast, where like the breaks around Nusa Dua and Karamas turn on as well, with the trade winds blowing the opposite way. So this seasonal alternation means that different waves come alive at different times of year on the island. Elsewhere in Indo as well, there's other places you can go to that experience really good out of season swells. You know, while the Ments, obviously you want to generally go in the main season, you can score it a lot less crowded in sort of like early season, like February, March, even out of season if you watch for the right swells. And Sumbawa as well, generally Lakey Peak can be really good out of season, smaller waves but generally a bit more user friendly. Like everywhere in Indo in the off season, there's no shortage of swell really, there'll generally be waves. It's just those like solid swells aren't as frequent. You know, in the height of the dry season you might get days where it's like 6 to 8 foot, 6 to 8 foot, 4 to 6 foot. Off season it might be like 2 to 3 foot, 2 to 3 foot, 4 to 6 foot sort of thing, and it follows that pattern more often. Costa Rica is another solid year-round option, thanks as well to its dual coastlines, the Pacific and the Caribbean. On the Pacific side, spots like Tamarindo, Santa Teresa, you know, they get pretty consistent waves throughout the year. Pavones needs more swell between April and October, that's when you get the best waves there. But places like Santa Teresa, Playa Hermosa, they can all work in the off-season because whatever swells in the Pacific just sends waves there. On the other side of Costa Rica, you've got the Caribbean coast. The season there is much shorter, but it's in the opposite season, so like January till March. But generally, if you go to the west coast, I think at any time of year in the main season, like the wet season, you're gonna get really consistent waves with the odd few days of like more solid swell as well. So I just want to quickly interrupt this video to let you know that I've just launched my surf travel consultancy service. So if you're planning a surf trip, whether you're unsure where to go based on your ability, or you're trying to score waves with the family in tow, I can help you make it happen. So if you jump onto a call with me, we can discuss recommended destinations, transport logistics, travel info, local insights to different places around the world, and I can basically help you take all of the stress and the uncertainty that comes with booking a surf trip. After our call, I'll summarize everything we've discussed in a personalized email tailored to your trip. I'll leave the link down in the description. For now, let's crack on with the video. Australia is probably the most prominent and perfect year-round surf destination. I mean, probably the only times to avoid for the whole place are like September, October. It's kind of shit then. But otherwise, you can enjoy pretty good waves for most of the year. The whole east coast, that gets summer cyclone swells, so you can get really fun waves in summer. In winter, you get southern swells that come up through the Tasman and send loads of waves there as well. So all year you've got potential swells happening. Down south, you've just got constant storms pumping swell to Victoria, South New South Wales. West Oz is like the most ridiculously consistent place in the world. It's just like a barrage of swell basically all year. You know, obviously the winter's when they get their best waves, but even in summer, it's just really, really consistent. And because there's just so many waves to shape the swells from these different angles into bright points and sheltered bays when it's bigger, there's just like an abundance of options basically everywhere you go. So aside from that sort of springtime, I think you could head to the east coast of Australia any time of year and potentially get really fun waves. Down south, any time of year again, you're just gonna get waves. You know, South Africa is another good choice for a year-round destination. You've got that U-shaped coastline, so it receives swells from all different angles. Now on the Cape Town side and where J Bay is, like further south, you get the best swells during the winter. When the biggest swells hit South Africa, it's when J Bay gets really, really good. On the other coast as well, you get good waves at this time of year also. But in summer as well, you can get swells coming down from the other way as well. So places like Durban, Ballito, that kind of KwaZulu-Natal zone gets waves then. And yeah, on the Durban side, really, really warm. That's in the Indian Ocean. And then Cape Town's on the Atlantic side. So Cape Town, you need like 5mm boots, hood, whereas in Durban, you can surf in boardies. You know, California is another top destination that receives swells from two different directions. So in the winter, you've got the Northern Hemisphere swells that hit places like Rincon, Santa Cruz, Mavericks, all those kind of spots. That's when they work. Flip that into the opposite season in summer, you've got the southerly ground swells that light up places like Trestles, Malibu, the Wedge, all those kind of spots. So you've got really distinct breaks that work in the different seasons. Some spots can receive both swells as well, depending on the exact angle. While it can have flat spells, generally speaking, you can surf most days of the year in California. Portugal as well, while winter, autumn, spring's like the main season, because any little bump of swell is going to hit Portugal. Summer can be like obviously pretty hot, mushy, pretty sloppy, so it's not the best time, but it's generally waves. You know, we get waves here in summer, so they're only going to get better waves down in Portugal. During the fall and winter months, you get those massive swells, like those huge low pressure systems that sit in the Atlantic and just pump swell out to, you know, places like Peniche, Ericeira and Nazaré. And then yeah, in the summer as well, whilst you probably wouldn't go in summer to chase like tubes and stuff for beginners, and if you're just after a nice time, it's a great time to go. Oahu as well, it gets swell from both directions. You've got Northern Hemisphere swell on the North Shore, Southern Hemisphere swell on the South Shore. So any time of year you can get really good swells depending on which coast you're on. In the Northern Hemisphere winter, you get massive swells that hit the North Shore. That's like, you know, the most famous season. In summer, while it's pretty flat on the North Shore, the South Shore pumps. So you can get waves all around the island, and you just got to go to the right side at the right time. There's loads of different coves and reefs and nooks and crannies, spots to sort of shape those swells into all sorts of different waves. And you know, like in all these spots, you get random off-season swells as well that just randomly pop up, and you can often do like little strike missions and chase those swells and score uncrowded waves. And then finally, Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka is pretty consistent. I mean, it's not always like world class, but on the east coast where Aragon Bay is, that works between April and October. And then the south coast generally works on the opposite season, so like November till March. So you can go there any time of year, and you do kind of have to go to the right coast, because Aragon Bay out of season goes pretty bad and super rainy, as does the other coast. But if you go to the right coast in the right time, you can go to Sri Lanka and score. So yeah, all of these destinations are all pretty safe bets for scoring waves year round. Obviously, it's not guaranteed, and if you can, try and go at the best time of year for the zone you want to surf. But yeah, even out of season, you're going to be able to score waves in some of these destinations. Thanks for watching as always. Thank you for the support. If you're interested in planning a surf trip, please check out the link down in the description. I can help you make it happen. For now, it's goodbye from me, and I'll see you in the next step.